Hello again, everyone. This is Mr. Smith with another art activity for you guys to try. And today's activity is going to be all about drawing with markers and a special trick for using your marker to color things in a very satisfying way and in a way that really uses lines, because what we're going to try and do today is we're going to try and use lines to make a work of art. But I want to talk about first a special trick that I have for using markers that I learned when I was in 4th grade in elementary school from my art teacher, Mr. Hanson. And it is called the lawn mower line. And the lawnmower line is a special way of coloring with your marker and filling in a space nice and evenly. Because a lot of the time when we color with marker, I see a lot of my young artist friends, let's say they have to color in a box. They end up kind of like coloring it in, and they're done, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I'm done. And it's kind of messy. There's lots of little spots poking through that are invisible that you can see through. There's bald spots. There's places where it's scribbly. Maybe it's gone outside of the lines. It's just not very neat. And there's a much more satisfying way to fill in a shape with the lawnmower technique. Now, it's called the lawnmower technique because I don't know if you guys have ever cut your grass before, but when you cut your grass, you want to go back and forth across the lawn nice and slow. And sometimes you can see these amazing lines cut into the grass that are nice and even with no gaps in between. And that is so nice to see. And we're going to use our marker like our lawnmower. We're going to use the flat, fat side of our marker. So we're not going to make skinny lines. We're going to use the flat, fat side of our marker to make nice wide lines, like we're pushing our mower through the grass. And it might take a little bit of practice to get there. You kind of have to angle your hand down and get it a little bit more flat to your paper. But the trick is, just like when you're mowing grass in the yard, and just like my dad taught me, I want to make sure that I push a nice even line across the yard and cut in one direction. Then I'm going to turn my lawnmower around and come back the other way. But the trick is to overlap your line slightly so that you don't miss any gaps in between. And you can kind of see this little bit slightly darker line in between from where my passes overlapped each other. And then I can go back the other way and fill it in again and come back the opposite way. And notice I'm leaving no gaps or spaces behind because I'm slowing down. I'm just taking it one line at a time, and it fills in the whole space nice and evenly. And I missed 2 little gaps. I'm going to touch those really quick with the marker just to fill them in. Boom, there we go, with no gaps left behind, and it looks like a fresh cut green lawn right now. And that's why it's called the lawnmower line, because there's nothing quite like a nicely cut grass. So when you go too fast though, you might end up with gaps in between. And that's what would happen to me when I was learning to cut the grass when I was a kid, and then I'd have to come back in and touch them up again. So this is a process all about taking your time and slowing down. So once you've mastered your lawnmower lines, we can use our lawnmower lines to make some pretty cool things. And I like to use lawnmower lines to make patterns and designs. So let's transition into that, and we'll talk about that next. So for today's lesson, we're going to try and make a few different patterned waves with our lawnmower style marker lines that we just talked about. And this lesson was inspired a little bit by the artist Sol LeWitt, who loved making lines in all of his art, all kinds of different lines, geometric lines, wavy lines, colored lines, all kinds of lines. And we're going to connect it with a little bit of a science idea all about waves. Now, the cool thing about waves is that they are a way that energy moves around in the world. And they have a variety of different shapes and styles. And we're going to make some different kinds of waves here today. So the cool thing about waves is that the more energy they have, they might have a greater amplitude. That means they're going to go taller, higher, up and down. Or maybe they have a different wave length. That means the wiggle of the wave itself might be really short or it might be really long. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some different kinds of waves with different wavelengths and amplitudes or amounts of energy, and we're gonna do them with our lawnmower style line. So let's give that a try here really quick. So first, we're going to grab a couple colors of markers to make some lines with. And I'm gonna make 3 today. You're welcome to make as many as you want, but I'm gonna use my paper here and I'm gonna make 3. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my marker, and I'm gonna use the flat, fat side of my marker like a lawnmower pushing across my lawn of my paper. And I'm going to make a wave that has very low, gentle amplitude. It's not got a lot of energy. It's gonna be kind of slowly kind of rolling, but it's gonna be, it's also gonna have a long wavelength. So let's do that. It's gonna be long, slow waves. Not a lot of energy in these waves. It's kind of like a gentle ocean, long wavelengths. Then I'm gonna use a different color. I'm going to make one that is really short wavelengths, but still not too crazy high in amplitude. It's still kind of not too crazy in energy. It's just gonna be a little bit shorter waves as far as the length goes, but still not too tall, still not too tall. And then at the bottom of my paper, I'm gonna make my waves that have the most energy, the most amplitude. They're gonna be really high up and down, really tall. Kind of like that. There we go. So let's take a look and see now if we can make these waves a little bit more interesting using pattern. Now, a pattern is when something repeats again and again and again and again. Like we can see here, I've got a pattern of colors in my waves where it goes orange, red, orange, red, orange, red, orange, red, repeats again and again, or blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, or black, purple, black, purple, black, purple. It repeats again and again, and it creates a pattern. And patterns can be really, really visually interesting in a work of art. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of time to use my nicest lawnmower lines to try and build patterns with these lines, these waves that I have right here. Let's see how that goes now. And ta-da, there we go. Now I've got my patterned waves, kind of in the style of Mr. Sol LeWitt, the American painter. And we can see that the patterns are red, yellow, red, yellow, red, purple, brown, purple, green, blue, green. So they make these really visually appealing patterns, and I tried to do my very best lawnmower lines, trying not to leave any gaps. I had to touch up a few little spots here and there. Now I could, if I wanted to keep these lines growing until they touch, I could fill the background with a different pattern of lines. But you can kind of play with it as well and see what you can do. Now that you know how to make lawnmower lines, you can use that knowledge to make really cool different kinds of waves and all kinds of interesting art. Well, if you try to make your own Sol LeWitt waves, or if you try your own hand at lawnmower style lines, please take a picture of it and share it with us on the art class Padlet page so that I can see what kind of stuff you guys are making. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for trying making some art with me. I hope y'all are having a great day, and I'll see you all for the next art activity very, very soon.